Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with a Wargaming miniature video. And on this video, this is the preface to a second video that I'm planning on doing today, which is choosing your scale. I know that's a hard thing to do. I've been working on that myself. But in this video, I'm going to talk about why you play a miniatures war game as opposed to a computer game or a board game or something like that. So the second half of this is going to be a video on how to choose your scale. Okay, so first I've got a few notes here, but one of the very first things you need to know, and this is kind of like a preface. Why do you play a miniature war game as opposed to a board game, as opposed to a computer game? The reason why you would play, and when I say you, mostly I'm talking about me, but why do you play a miniature game at all, or miniature war game? Well, for one thing, it's three-dimensional, right? So you can, and it's tactile. So you can actually put your hands on the models and you can look at them three-dimensionally, okay, and there's usually a battlefield set up with terrain, three-dimensional. You can get down behind your figures and look. That's part of it. You can do that on a computer game, but you can't tactily do it. The main thing is, as a player, you get to assemble models, you get to build terrain, you get to paint. That's half the enjoyment for me. Half the enjoyment is building my army, my table, my battlefield, my terrain, that's half of it. And then the other half is actually getting to put it on a table and play. I personally like being able to see my models. I know I'm struggling now with glasses, right? But I like to see my models fully painted. I don't want to put something on the table that's not even partially painted. I would be ashamed to do that, right? I don't play a miniatures game for the game. There's so many other ways to play games with your friends that are not miniatures that it takes a certain type of person to play a miniatures game. Okay, now I've gone to tournaments. Okay, I've gone and ran tournaments with different game systems. Bunch of different game systems. Hell, my name's Mr. Everything, right? Okay, so during these tournaments, you got to think of your opponent as well. Okay, we'll get into choosing the right scale in just a second. I'm kind of on a rant right now. I'm on my soapbox. It's one of the reasons why you play a miniatures game, and that plays into choosing the right scale. So bear with me. But one of the reasons when you go to a tournament and you get paired up, like Joe gets put up against John or whatever, and you guys playing 40K and I'm playing Eldar and he's playing Orcs or whatever, and we're putting our armies on the table. Okay? Think about this. I've got this beautifully painted army. It's got all kinds of decals and trim lines, and I've really done a lot of shading, and my bases are all flocked and got stones, and you know how I do. And then I look across the table and I see an army of orcs that were primed green with a spray primer, and that's it. Okay. How do you think that makes me feel about this player? Like he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care, right? So, or he's new. Okay, he's a noob. Okay, that's fine. Like, he just got the armor yesterday and he hasn't had a chance to paint it. Okay. then I feel like I'm going to take advantage of him. Or through conversation, I find out, no, he just doesn't like to paint. That discourages me as a player. Yes, I'm going to play and I'm going to try to win and all that because it's a tournament and all that. But I've just stopped having fun. Because the reason why you go to play a miniatures game is for the terrain, for the models themselves being fully painted, representing, getting immersed into the battle. And when someone else doesn't take pride in their army, or they don't give a shit, it hurts the experience. I used to own a store, as you all know. I used to own the store here in Clarksville, Tennessee, called the War Room. Okay, this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And we did wargaming. That's when I was a judge, right? We had a tournament when I was the owner of the War Room. We would allow gaming, miniature gaming, in the store because my philosophy was set up a bunch of tables in the center of the store, which I did, have all the product around it, right? Maybe have a table in the back for role playing. That's cool because I sold role playing games too. Miniatures games up front, and then the very front table, the first table you see when you walk in through the door is the demo table. That's the one that I took pride with, and that was my favorite table. That was my store table. Okay. Just imagine if a customer came in and they were thinking about playing Warhammer 40K. I'm just using that as an example because I'm going to stick with the same theme. And there were a bunch of models on this table that were all metal or painted like crap. Okay? I mean, like, with no... Okay, there's a difference, in my opinion, there's a difference between trying to paint them and not bothering to paint them. Or painting them with no love, right? So, if they're painted, like, with no love, or they're just bare metal, or wet, or plastic nowadays, right? And a customer comes in, he looks at it, he's going to say, man, that game looks like crap. I ain't playing that. That sucks. But imagine the table is covered with beautifully painted models, and I could grab him and I could say, hey, you want to take command of these orcs and like roll some dice? People might get excited about that. Okay.